Liebe Gäste, bitte nehmen Sie jetzt Ihre Plätze ein. Fotografen, suchen bitte für einen Fototermin die vorbereiteten Positionen vor dem Veranstaltungszelt auf. Bis 15:25 Uhr müssen bitte alle Gäste ihre Plätze eingenommen haben. Dear guests, please take your seats now. Photographers, please assume positions outside the tent for a welcome photo. Please note that all guests will have to be seated by 3:25. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our event. My name is Greg Lowe, and I'm the CEO of Wolfspeed. I would like to especially welcome Bundeskanzler Scholz, Minister Habeck, Minister President Rehlinger. We are honored by your support of this project and your presence here today. Thank you. Vor über 30 Jahren kam ich zum
More than 30 years ago, I got the first time to Germany, and back then I was working for a semiconductor company. Back then, we have ushered in a new era of safety in the automotive industry with silicon chips, enabling new systems like ABS, airbags, and traction control. It was a very quite exciting time in the automotive industry. And I never would have thought that 30 years later, we would usher in a new era again in the automotive industry with silicon carbide chips. The transition from the internal combustion engine to the electric vehicle. Maybe a new era which is not only going to be of interest and exciting for the automotive industry, but will also provide for a clean and green world. As an American, I'm here in the Saarland, at the heart of Europe, close to France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. Coal mining has created great values here in this industrial area for more than 150 years. And today, with the planned largest and beyond state-of-the-art fab for semiconductors from carbon and silicon, we want to write history in Enstov, the success story of silicon carbide chips in energy and in power electronics.
Carbide is the answer to some of the biggest issues of our time: energy savings and climate change. Because with semiconductors made of silicon carbide, electric cars can go further and charge faster, helping to accelerate the transition from gasoline automobiles to fully electric vehicles. Solar farms can be more efficient and direct more clean energy to the grid, allowing us to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels. And many industrial applications will do their jobs more efficiently, using less energy, enabling green energy to reach more people at lower costs. Now, Wolfspeed has been a pioneer in the creation and the application of silicon carbide, working on this material for the past 35 years. And we know that this technology requires very talented teams to produce the best results. And in our global search for a location for this new facility, we simply fell in love with the Saarland. Here on this site, a former coal-burning power plant and a reminder of our industrial past, we want to build a bridge to a better and cleaner industrial future. The new fab is only possible as part of the important projects for common European interest. IPCEI is an EU industrial policy tool that the EU is using to expand Europe's efforts to be a global high-tech destination for companies like Wolfspeed. Without this funding, this project would not be possible in Europe. We are impressed by the support, energy, and enthusiasm of the German federal government, as well as the Saarland state government. And we are sure that the talented people here in the Saarland will help us build and operate a world-class semiconductor fab. Now, you've just heard a lot about our vision, so let me give you a glimpse of what this might look like. Let's take a look at the video. Beautiful. Nice, huh? Beautiful imagery, leaving the past, moving to the future. And what you've just seen is our vision for the world's largest and most advanced 200 millimeter wafer fab for silicon carbide chips. This factory will set new standards in manufacturing, host over 600 employees, and will create many more jobs in the region. Once the project receives final EU approval, allowing for the funding from Germany and Saarland, we intend to begin construction. We anticipate that this will be done in the coming months so that we can start as soon as possible. However, we're not only planning to build this new innovative factory, but also to establish an R&D center here in Germany together with our partner ZF. This R&D center will focus on highly innovative methods and technologies for improving the application of silicon carbide, resulting in even more energy savings. And now I'd like to invite Stefan von Schuckmann, a member of the board of management of ZF, to say a few words about that R&D center. Stefan, please.
Well, thank you, dear Greg, and a warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, also from my side. After years of hard work together, it's my pleasure, dear Greg, to be able to announce the next big step of our cooperation together with you today. Because it is really a big step. Wolfspeed and ZF will take the use of silicon carbide semiconductors to a completely new level in a wide range of applications. A globally unique project that starts here today at Desar.
What does this overall project consist of? Well, next to setting up a highly innovative chip fab, we will also establish in Germany a new research and development center for the next generation of power electronics. Fab and R&D center are two pillars of an integrated project. ZF will bring in its long-standing experience with electric driveline systems across all fields of application. And this competence will be pooled with the unique know-how of Wolfspeed when it comes to manufacturing 200 millimeter silicon carbide semiconductors. So we're together building a bridge from research into production, from the lab to the fab, as EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen stated on the topic of semiconductor funding 1 year ago. ZF will have a majority share with the R&D center as well as a minority share with the fab. Especially when it comes to power electronics, we will see in the upcoming years decisive innovations. Steve Jobs once said that innovation makes a difference between those who lead and those who follow. And we want to be leaders. Leaders when it comes to energy efficiency, power density, temperature resistance, and other critical KPIs. And these are not just abstract technical gadgets. For electric vehicles, for example, it means in concrete terms, more range, shorter charging times, smaller batteries, lower costs, and of course, ultimately, more climate protection. And ZF is a direct link to the market between research and development, production, and application. Because the semiconductors which will be manufactured here in Ansdorf in the upcoming decades can be adapted with our research focus optimally to the specific field of application. Thus, our project is creating a complete and seamless value chain for semiconductors here at the heart, at the core of Europe at an unprecedented technological level. And our ambitions go far beyond the application of vehicles. Silicon carbide semiconductors are also used in charging stations, photovoltaic, and wind power plants, and other applications. For ZF, this opens up new strategic options in order to shape the transformation within our company. And as Greg Lowe already said, we're working together in order to realize the perfect transformation story. This is what drives us as entrepreneurs and as people. Thank you very much, dear Greg. And at the same time, I would like to express my thanks to the project teams on both sides, which already have become a unique, highly motivated team. And I'm very pleased that we're shaping the future of mobility together with Wolfspeed. Thank you very much.
That was terrific. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Stefan. We at Wolfspeed really appreciate the strong partnership we've had with you, so thank you for those kind words. And now I'd like to invite the CEO of ZF Group, Dr. Holger Klein, to the stage. Holger, please.
Chancellor, Minister President, ministers, members of the parliaments, Ms. Müller, ladies and gentlemen. ZF is more than 100 years old, and we've always been open to change. These days, I'm meeting lots of young engineers and developers, employees who have very different motivations. Now, some of them want to save lives with new security and safety technologies. Others are doing research in making wind turbines quieter. Others want to get autonomous shuttles on the road. And many of them want to make electric mobility successful. Now, what they all have in common is they've been given a visible boost in motivation from this project. You could say they're electrified. Now, why is that? It's because the project we're presenting today is a strategic step to boost innovation in mobility and energy. Greg talked about it. Semiconductors, SiC semiconductors are a key technology. And that is why I'm so grateful for this cooperation with Wolfspeed and with you, dear Greg. We can do such great things together, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, in my conversations with the employees, I also feel that some of them are worried. They worry about the change that just keeps accelerating. And it's not surprising in a company that started out building transmissions and over the past few years has reinvented itself as a technology company for mobility and industrial technology. In the Saarland alone, we're employing around 10,000 employees. And only a few kilometers from here in Saarbrücken, we have our biggest transmission site, a state-of-the-art plant, and we're very proud of it. And we are shaping the change of this plant together with the state government of the Saarland and our social partners. But the market is changing rapidly. It's moving towards fully electric passenger cars. The EU decision to ban ICEs accelerates this change. I don't want to go into the pros and cons of that decision today. We're just accepting the necessary transformation as a fact, and we have to accept it. This project and our high investments of the past years also go to show, however, that we have accepted it with commitment, with confidence, and with a lot of discipline. It is not a secret that this comprehensive transition in mobility poses drastic and dramatic challenges for the entire industry. In the current economic crisis, they are becoming even more pressing, and for many companies, they threaten their existence. Also at ZF, they require that we prioritize projects and resources even more. They require that we accelerate our actions and that we focus our strategic decisions. And the decision for this project is absolutely right, because with this project, we are shaping the mobility and energy transition, and we're enabling and we're making the European industry more independent. We're stabilizing supply chains, and we're accelerating the change towards new mobility. Now, we're not only looking to automotive applications, because we can use that innovative SiC technology in a much vaster field, basically anywhere where we're converting electric energy. For instance, every fourth wind turbine worldwide is already using a ZF gearbox. That is our contribution to the expansion of renewable energies. Wolfspeed and ZF together will be able in the future to supply the automotive industry and other industries with solutions based on modern semiconductor technology, and to do so reliably. And this is very good news for our customers, but also for this industrial region. Europe also profits because this project supports the goals of the European Chips Act, the digital transformation, and the European Green Deal. Europe shows here that with the help of the so-called IPCEIs, it is possible to even attract international investment, even in times of great global competition. Now, in closing, that is why I would like to say thank you. I would like to thank you, Chancellor Scholz, and the entire federal government, and you, Mrs. Minister President, and the state government. We'd like to thank you for pulling together with us. It's always been pragmatic, it's always been uncomplicated, and we've always been working towards a successful outcome. Projects of this dimension are only possible when there's close ranks between the economics and politics and strategic partners from the industry. Without that, a factory of this dimension would not be possible in Europe. We look forward to further exchange with the decision makers involved in Germany and at EU level, because this important EU process has not been completed. I would like to expressly also thank the ministries for economics and finance on the federal but also on the state level, from the departments involved to the heads of the ministries and all of those people who supported us in Berlin and in Saarbrücken across all political factions. I would like to thank all of you for coming here today, expressly also the elected members of parliament who are underlining the importance of this project with their presence here today. And I would like to thank the community of Ensdorf, the municipality. We are your guests today, but we want to be good neighbors tomorrow. Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you and your team for the great work you did with Stefan and the team. Thank you for the great cooperation.
To introduce the Minister President of Saarland, Anke Rehlinger, Frau Rehlinger, petition.
Chancellor, Minister for Economics, members of the parliaments, representatives of the companies, dear Greg, Dr. Klein, Mr. von Schuckmann, ladies and gentlemen, and let me also say it, welcome all the Saarlanders. Now, the most modern semiconductor factory in the world, it will be built in the Saarland. And so welcome to the place to be when it's about the industry of the future. Now, by attracting this company, we hope to create up to 1,000 jobs, and a high technology settlement like this, especially connected with a few other decisions that have been made in the recent past, it makes the Saarland a very much a hotspot for electric mobility in Europe. And we are a location that is rooted in the production of combustion engines. And I think we can also say today, looking at the decisions that have been made, the Saarland is experiencing an economic upswing. So we are happy that we've been given this opportunity to shape this future. And one of the instruments we're using is the transformation fund that we've established, which was the thing that was the basis for this opportunity, which made it possible for us to get involved, to try and attract business like this, to become actively involved. And now, together with the decision that has just been made at ZF, with the decisions that have been made in the steel industry, In this very short time, we were able to attract 3 examples for the application of the Transformation Fund, which go to show that it's possible to create your own luck, your own opportunities, if you just create the right instruments. Now, what's happening here in Ensdorf is also a symbol of hope for our state. So, if you will, just look outside the window, because the economic strength of this state is historically rooted in coal, mining, power plants, smelting. In the steel industry, we're now replacing coal with hydrogen. And here in Ensdorf, where we used to turn coal into electricity, we'll be producing the semiconductors of the future very soon. Now, with this entry into electric mobility, the Saarland becomes a lighthouse for successful structural transformation of an entire industry and also of our entire state. And that is why I would like to expressly thank the representatives from the companies for the trust they've placed in us, they've expressed towards us with their decision, but also for the great collaboration that we've had that's been shaped by trust. And Greg, I do remember our first meetings very well. We talked about that just a minute ago, and I also remember the first impression that I had. It was the impression that those responsible at the companies, especially with you, Greg, it wasn't just about the real estate that you were trying to find. I had the impression that you were interested in the state beyond the plot of land, that you were interested in the history of the state, in the people, and in the question of how transformation, structural change can happen in the state, and how an innovative company might be able to contribute to that ultimately, and how we could work together towards a successful transformation story like this one. And so once again, thank you very much, Greg, to you and your entire team for the good collaboration up to now and for the decision that you've made. And of course, I would like to thank ZF as well. What they're showing with this cooperation is that they are a prime example of a company that is shaping its own future. So thank you, Dr. Klein, and of course, thank you as well, Mr. von Schuckmann, for the decision that you've supported. But I think we also need to say thank you for your loyalty towards this location here in the Saarland. Now, establishing Wolfspeed here, we've just heard it again, creates an opportunity to secure jobs for tomorrow. The research with ZF creates the jobs for the day after tomorrow. And both those things are important, equally important. Now, we've seen in this process that, well, you can't take success for granted, but you really have to roll up your sleeves for that. Now, filling this brownfield site with new life, that took months of preparation. It's looking very nice now. We're sitting here together. But there was a bit of work behind that. Now, since spring 2021, well, Jürgen, I was doing your job back then. As you may recall, I was the Minister of Economics, but I still worked very closely with the State Chancellery, and that hasn't gotten any worse now. So I was communicating very closely with the two companies. And then at the end of 2021, the company expressed solid interest in the Saarland. And that was a fantastic time for us. We were very happy about this very important signal. Looking back, I'm tempted to say that's when work actually started. And such an establishment is not just a handshake deal. It can still fail. And I'm glad it didn't. And for a year now, we've been working hand in hand together with the company and taking one hurdle after another to make sure that we make it across the finish line. But I also want to say that it's not just us doing that. We owe a great big thank you to the Federal Chancellor, Mr. Scholz, and the Federal Minister of Economics and Climate Protection, Mr. Habeck. And it's a strong sign that they're here today, because it's a strong sign that Germany wants to remain an industrial nation, and that we need to be aware of the fact that that needs work, that we need to take action to do that. But if we are given an opportunity, we will seize it. Neither of them flinched when the Inflation Reduction Act gave a strong competition from the US. It was definitely competition, but we can also say today we can win this competition. And so I think we also owe that to the great collaboration, and I can also stress that once again what Dr. Klein said. So Robert, once again, thank you so much for your commitment. Thank you to all the team at the federal government. And I also want to say thank you, Olaf. Thank you, Robert. Thank you that the federal government stuck by the side of the Saarland, stuck by us in the structural change. We were affected sooner, we are affected more, and the sooner we succeed, we can give more courage to other regions in Germany facing similar challenges. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, attracting businesses like that, that's a lot of work in the Saarland. Luckily, we have been successful several times. We've shown that we can do that. And of course, everyone is happy to claim the successes. Lots of women and men do it. And one of the fathers of the success is definitely Jürgen Barke. Now, thank you very much, and everyone else as well, for your work, for making today possible. Thank you. It's a great day for the Saarland. And as a Saarland Minister President, I can only say I'm absolutely excited and elated about the success. It gives us courage. And I think it also gives us optimism and confidence that we can master the big challenges we're facing in the Saarland. So this settlement opens up a new chapter in the economic history of this state, and we want to add many more. Thank you so much, and Glück auf, as we say here.
That was really terrific. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Frau Minister President. And I can tell you, we were impressed from day one. And I can tell you the first meeting we had with you, we then had a dinner afterwards, and then our team went back to the hotel and we gathered for a little bit of a follow-up. And we were quiet for a second, and somebody turned and looked at me and said, "What do you think?" And I only had one word: wow. So congratulations. Awesome stuff. We are thrilled to have our next speaker and remarks by Bundeskanzler Scholz. Herr Bundeskanzler, es ist eine Ehre.
Mr. Chancellor, it is an honor to have you here with us. Dear Mr. Loh, Mr. Klein, Mr. von Schuckmann, Ms. Minister President, dear Anke, Federal Minister, dear Robert, Minister Barke, distinguished members of the German federal and state parliaments, ladies and gentlemen. 2 weeks ago, I was at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and through the top executive, I sent a clear message to the top executive of great large companies. If you want to invest sustainably and profitably into the future, come to us. Come to Germany and to Europe. Don't look any further. Mr. Loh, Mr. Klein, and you decided in favor of Europe for your manufacturing facility here in Ensdorf and another location in Germany for your R&D center. And that is solid evidence proving my thesis right. I'm shouting out to you with full conviction. You have found the place you were looking for. Here in the Saarland, you will find the exact conditions that Wolfspeed and ZF need in order to shape the next big industrial revolution. And many things indicate that the future belongs to semiconductors from silicon carbide in the sector of renewables, telecommunication, and especially when it comes to electric mobility. With chips from silicon carbide, Electric vehicles achieve, as we've already heard, a larger range. They charge more quickly, and it increases their efficiency. And without exaggeration, we can say by setting up this fab for semiconductors made out of silicon carbide, the industrial revolution gets back to Ensdorf. At the forefront, cutting edge. That is what we've been at the SAR also from an industrial point of view in the past. For more than 200 years here in Ensdorf, we've produced, processed, and burned coal. The gigantic mining heap bears witness to it. This big era of steel and coal industry is history. It was a tremendous turning point, not only for Ensdorf, not only at the SAR, but everywhere in the classical industrial regions in Europe. But this is no new news to you. Some are reminiscing from the good old times, and which is quite understandable. But, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that the good old times are over doesn't mean that good new times cannot dawn. Because Wolfspeed and ZF are getting here to the SAR just because we have so much experience when it comes to energy, we have so much industrial know-how, such well-trained, skilled workforce and engineers. It is not a coincidence that exactly here we're creating new jobs for the future. But it's due to the fact that the Saarland is used to radical change, is open for new things and decisive to tackle new things. And that is why here in Ensdorf we see the good old times are creating the basis for the new good times, which still lie ahead. With a €1 billion investment by Wolfspeed and ZF in new time dawns in Ensdorf, with a new level of prosperity and new good industrial jobs, with technologies which will be of great importance for sustainability and decarbonization. But I would like to go even a step further. The new chip fab will also make a significant contribution to have reliable supply chains here in the European industry with semiconductors. We know how important it is. We have felt it in Germany and Europe over the past couple of years, and we know how serious the situation can get when supply chains get disrupted and when we have a shortage of semiconductors. Especially the experience we've made during the pandemic have taught us that in Germany and in Europe, we have to become more resilient from a technological, digital, and logistical point of view. That is the reason why we want to systematically reduce dependencies on our vulnerability and strengthen our capacity to act. In Europe, we count on the market, on competition, and on innovation. But we're also counting on common European funding instruments, for example, the so-called important projects of common European interest. And we also count on the European Chips Act, which is still being negotiated in Brussels, but also already taking effect. Especially here in Germany, we have planned significant investments with the help of these instruments, among others, this manufacturing facility here in the Saarland. And also other projects at other locations in Germany, for example, in Saxony or in Saxony-Anhalt. The investments by Wolfspeed and ZF marked a practical expression of our core political ambitions. And at the same time, they're a practical expression for the fact how useful open markets and especially the transatlantic economic cooperations are. These days, we've been talking a lot about the American Inflation Reduction Act and its possible effects on Europe as a business location. First of all, it is very positive and very welcoming that the United States want to make headway when it comes to climate protection and climate-friendly technologies. But at the same time, we're also talking with our American friends for European companies to not be at a disadvantage. Because it's not custom barriers and strict rules of origins which pave the way for innovation, but open markets and fair competition. The debate on the Inflation Reduction Act is an incentive for me, for Europe, to check how we can improve the conditions for investments here in Europe. And this also entails that the European state aid rules have to become more agile, temporal, and also be more flexible in order for investors to know at an early point in time which kind of support they can count on. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has already made important suggestions which are also going into the right direction. Dear Greg Lowe, in an interview, you've been asked the questions a couple of years ago in an interview, what makes you happy? And your answer was, when a group of individuals come together and accomplish something they first thought was impossible. It is my impression that exactly that is happening right now, and it gives us reason for tremendous joy, also for the Minister President. A complicated project like this can only work if many, many different involved parties act in concert and pull together. The project teams of both companies are present here today, as well as the employees of the involved authorities from the city, state, and federal level. Thank you very much for this high commitment you've shown. I wish both partners, Wolfspeed and ZF, I wish you all the best and every success for your joint project and a good spillover effect for all of us and many positive effects. For the Saarland, for Germany, for Europe, and our transatlantic partnership. Glück auf, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Herr Bundeskanzler, for your presence today and your words that demonstrate commitment. And I also want to reiterate, we will make the impossible possible here. So thank you for that. Thank you, everybody. We are now going to continue with a panel discussion. We have 3 panel participants that are going to be joining us up on stage. The first is Dr. Robert Habeck, Federal Minister for Economic Affairs and Climate Action in Germany. Hildegard Müller, President of the German Association of the Automobile Industry. And Jürgen Barke, Minister for the Economy, Innovation, Digital Affairs, and Energy of Saarland. Would you please join us on the podium here? We're going to be right here. So, Herr Minister.
Minister Habeck, we're very happy and we're thankful for the Ministry of Economic Affairs for the commitment for the important project of common European interest. How important are semiconductors in order to achieve the targets of the federal government, and what is the significance of the IPCEI process for Germany? Thank you very much. If I can, I would like to pick up what the Chancellor just said, because I know that I'm here the representatives of the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Protection, and now that the politicians here are giving a speech, but the main work has been done by different people, and I would like to express my thanks to the colleagues from the different authorities, all the telcos we have had, the mails, and everything which have to be done with the European process. That's what you've been doing, so it's your day today. But otherwise, at the very beginning, we've seen the video where we saw where semiconductors are being used, actually, and Ms. Müller will also explain it in more detail. The 200 millimeter production is basically something which has been the shortage in the last couple of years in Europe, and the ramp up and the condition that and it's a precondition for us to make headway with all other technologies. So it became quite clear. But at the same time, to what is happening here today is symbolical for almost everywhere, because we have to put it in a nutshell, we're in a difficult economic situation. We have to move forward and make progress. So all of these investments, so it should be the start for industrial projects here in Germany. So let's get the semiconductors on board and let's get started with the production. We need it very fast. Thank you very much. Ms. Müller, the transformation from the combustion engine to electric mobility is key for the automotive industry as a whole. And what's the industry's opinion on these investments? I think in total, just like everybody who's here taking a look at this shift. And my compliments to Wolfspeed and CF for their creativity, their involvement, for the high quality that it entails. But that is what you actually feel, how the enthusiasm. So my compliments to you and congratulations. So it's symbolical for the transformation which we're witnessing here in the automotive industry. Until 2026, we know that 220 million are being invested in research development and new drivelines, and also into the topic, in this very important topic of semiconductors. We believe that demand will increase thrice. So with digitalization, this is something which we highly appreciate here, what you're doing here. It's a very important signal for the location. So we know that we are studies where we know that sometimes we're at a disadvantage, but I would like to express my thanks to the federal and state government that they're ready to act, because it shows that we can go embark on the same path, and we can act quickly, and we are ready and capable to shape the conditions in such a way that the competences which we have here at the locations, the engagement which we see from the people, the political framework which we have, and we have this large interest, and we can shape the future in Germany too. Minister Barker, thank you very much for your support from the state government. So here in the Saarland, we're witnessing an industrial transformation. What is the context here in the Saarland, and what's the context of this project? Thank you very much for the question. The Saarland is undergoing one structural change after another. You're familiar with the history of the Saarland, and you can bear the structural change, but you can also shape it actively, and we have the right tools at the right time in order to invest into the future of this country. And the industrial cooperation from Wolfspeed and ZF makes this process of transformation possible and turns it into a real game changer. This investment is a real game changer for the location, because this investment is setting up a leading technology here in the Saarland. And this leading industry which we have, it will open up new perspectives for other companies at the location, so it will have a spillover effect, it will have a pull effect. So this, we will look for a cooperation together with Wolfspeed and CF, so that creates jobs, perspectives for companies, for young people, and this is what we actually need in these times of uncertainty. And this is such a tremendous day. So thank you very much for this good cooperation with the Wolfspeed team and everybody who's here. Thank you very much with the Ministry of Economic Affairs and the government. So thank you. Together we can make things happen. In France we would say it's the same. We can keep it up. Thank you.
Now, Minister Barker, can I add a question there maybe? So how do we get the people on board with this project, even the industry workers? Well, that's what's so exciting about this topic. We are living in a time where we need to make this location successful, in a time where products keep changing, where there's more evolution, there's always new products coming into the market. We need a high qualification of people in this location, in this region. And this is a qualification that we can achieve by lifelong learning. That's because we have the industries here, we have schools of applied sciences. But if people can feel the dynamics of a transformation process, then people can feel the spark, and they would look for perspectives in this state. And starting a new qualification process, that's a big task for a person. But with the office that we have on site, we have the right prerequisites for people to qualify themselves and for people to want to stay in the region. So if you have all the prerequisites in the region to stay here, to qualify yourself further, and if you feel the dynamic of the transformation process, then people will stay, and this will give an impetus to the transformation process. So you make this dynamic tangible with your transformation process. So thank you. There's a lot happened in the past, but it'll now catch on. People will be electrified about this location. Now, Ms. Miller, what are the 3 things you would like to wish for from politics so that Germany and Europe can remain a strong location for automotive in the transformation process towards e-mobility? Well, I think he knows what I'm going to say, 3 wishes. So thanks for that question. We are also very grateful for the exchange we have with the Ministry for Economic Affairs. So the first point is we need to create the right framework for locations. We need to unleash the industry like they're doing it in the US. We need planning processes. We need raw materials. We need agreements on that. And there's a lot of effort that's going into that. That's a really important topic right now. Now, the second thing is we're not just feeling that in the industry, but also the citizens are feeling that. I think it's an energy policy that paves the way towards an all-electric society. Sufficient renewable energies are the key for the success of this transformation, and we need to achieve that, whether we do that nationally or through energy partnerships, but that's a decisive competitive factors. We need affordable energy. We are at a disadvantage compared to other locations right now. And the third point is what you said, qualified immigration. I think that's something we need. You're also seeing that with factory. We need qualified workers. We need skilled labor. And I think we should come up with a pact with the industry and politics to make sure that we have the right jobs, that we also have the right qualification measures on site within reach, especially for people in transformation who have had different jobs in the past, to continue to qualify them. That's a key job beyond the question of immigration. And we're happy to give you a hand and look forward to this partnership. Now, Minister, we've talked a lot about automotive now. What do energy efficient semiconductors mean for the energy industry? Well, the Saarland is not just a state of transformation from coal and fossil fuels, but also a production site for internal combustion engines, or was so in the past. And ZF, we just said that very politely, is a company that was challenged significantly by this transformation, is affected very much by this transformation. So there's worries, there's concerns and critical questions, and that's a given. Transformation is just a nice way of saying, well, I'm sure it's all going to work out fine, and politicians love saying that, but families, the workers who are worried, they are fear for their jobs, for the companies, for their sites. These are very concerning questions. Transformation always means, yeah, there's something new that's about to come, but other things fade away, other things disappear. And we always welcome change, but as soon as you're affected personally, it can actually hurt. And then you need to get out of your comfort zone. But it also shows that, you can see it in this day and in this decision for this location, that you can seize this change to help people overcome their fears, to help create a future, to get people on board. And, listening to these terms, silicon carbide and production and semiconductors, well, that's very interesting. But it also goes beyond that. It's attracting more business, automotive, battery production. That's what we'd like to see here in Germany and in this location as well. We want to keep that here. So semiconductor production is a key for the conversion of electric energy in all kinds of applications, but it's also a signal that the production of green, clean industry, not just energy, but industry here in Germany and in the Saarland is and remains possible and needs to be possible. And if I could add another point there, we heard from Anke Rillinger, the Minister President of the state, at the end of 2021, Wolfspeed and ZF were in a position where they said, okay, we'll stop putting out feelers, we'll actually turn this into a tangible project. And today, the Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, suggested, just like the Chancellor did, we need to get faster with our subsidies, with our funding, and that's urgent. And I'm putting 3 exclamation marks there. But this project from the end of 21, where we said, okay, let's make something of that, to winter 23, that's only 14 months. We'd love to have seen it be only 10 or 8, but it's not ages. So I think the key thing here is to not just lament complicated situations and laws, but that you roll up your sleeves and try to implement it. And as soon as people want that, that becomes possible. And that's how I want to end. Thank you to the team in the Saarland and at the companies for making this possible in such a short time. I think that's the German speed that the Chancellor talked of in other places.
Bundesminister Habeck, vielen Dank, dass Sie heute alle hier an unserer Veranstaltung teilgenommen haben.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for joining our event. I hope you can feel the enthusiasm that we have for this project, and we hope that that enthusiasm spreads to you as well, perhaps even getting you to dream a little bit about the unimaginable possibilities that will result from this project. Bundeskanzler Scholz, Minister Habeck, Minister Präsidentin Rehlinger, my sincere thanks for your participation today in this event and your strong support of this project. We look forward to making this dream a reality. Thank you very much. This concludes our formal part of the presentation. We have some refreshments out back, and we will start the press conference in a few minutes. Thank you.